Hey you all, thank you again for meeting with me for another video today. Today we're going to be talking about the topic of homosexuality. Is that a sin or not? And basically I'm just going to say right off the bat, homosexuality is a sin. There's been a lot of debate. Some people try to say you could still be gay and go to heaven as long as you love God and you know His word and stuff, but that's not how that works. If you are truly a real Christian, you will flee from your sin. You won't try to live in it. You will try to be a newborn creation. And basically, what's going on here is basically my stance on this preface is I'm saying that as Christians, homosexuality, which is basically defined as people of the same sex, like man and man or woman and woman, having love with one another, basically having relationships, is a sin, and it's been stated throughout the Bible multiple times. And so for those people that sit out there and think we can multitask both ways, oh yeah, I know Jesus, I'm good, that's not how that works. There should be a change in what you're doing. And so basically I'm just going to go through a few verses, and one of them is really just going back to the Old Testament, and this is Leviticus 18:22, which states, "You shall not lie with a man as a woman, it is an abomination." And basically God is speaking to the Israelites at that time, and what he's saying really is basically he's saying man, they should not be lying together. That's not what he wants. And lying in this situation is basically sex, and he's saying they shouldn't be doing that together. It should only be between a man and a woman, which God has created, which he intended for. He didn't intend for the same sex to have love with one another. And some people, females, must definitely, like, some people try to be stupid about it and tell me, well, it only says man, it doesn't talk about woman, but you're also included in this too. Because he basically wants us not to have same sex, basically. That's what he's trying to say. And that's just one of the verses I got out there. And now I'm going back to the New Testament, or, sorry, I'm going back into a letter of the New Testament in Romans 1:27, which states, "In the same way the men also abandoned natural relations with women and were inflamed with the lust for one another. Men committed shameful acts with other men and received in themselves a duty penalty for their error." And basically, Paul is speaking again, and he's talking basically in this passage, and what he's saying, and basically what's going on here is basically Paul is really just saying that it was like at that time, men were falling in love with one another, having lust for one another, having sexual relationships, something that they should not be doing. And in the same way, that's again speaking also for the woman that's not out of this too, and how women themselves shouldn't be having love for one another, basically in the same sex. And how just how he read this, he said, in the same way the men also abandoned natural relations. See, it was natural for man and woman to be together. That's what God intended. That's what he wanted. It's unnatural in his sight to see a man and a man and a woman and a woman. That's really just why I'm going on about this too. And it said men committed shameful acts, because that's something that you should not be proud of. You shouldn't be sitting there saying, yeah, we're proud of it. And it's ironic how their movement is pride, because they're happy about it, but that's something they shouldn't be happy about. That's something they shouldn't even be doing or wanting to do. But it's because we sin in this life and we commit sinful acts. And it's sad. What scares me worse than those people is the fact that those people probably don't even know most of the Bible, what's going on. It's the Christians that scare me, that think that they can multitask this and move in with this whole movement, because they're thinking we can still get members, we can still do this and this, let's include that in our works. And that's what a lot of churches are doing today. And that's what really that's really one of the things that scares me too, is that people grew up in that environment where they think love is love, all that come together really, and that's really the thing that terrifies me, because like that's something that's shameful in God's eyes. He doesn't like that. And for some people out there that thinks, well, maybe he could just be talking about that. There's even stories about that, like explaining homosexuality and how God like didn't like that. And he punished that. And one of the situations is Sodom and Gomorrah. And basically, that's really just talking about the destruction of the city, Sodom and Gomorrah. And one of the things they were doing in there that was wicked in God's eyes, that's one of the reasons he destroyed the city, was homosexuality. Because the angels were there, and the people in Sodom and Gomorrah, the men of the city, wanted to rape the angels. which is very wicked. But there's some of the things they did. They were very sexualized, wicked. Like they did a lot of things in God's eyes that He didn't approve of, so He destroyed the city. And that's just where I want to conclude my topic. And just going through the Bible, really just explaining what's going on right there, and just the fact that how we can't expect to be Christians and think that we can combine the world's traits. I might get into a video about that later, because maybe in future reference, because one of the things Paul talked about was how the world does is kind of doing what we're doing today. How we're trying to add worldly things. And so I'm just saying, be careful out there. Don't let these people try to sit there and deceive you. Because the one truth you really need is really your Holy Bible itself. This is the one truth you really need. Because there's going to be a lot of people that try to twist up the Bible. Don't always trust other people, especially if you're skeptical of it. Make sure you look up and do your own research too. Or if somebody out there, you go to a foreign church and they say, well, I believe that God did accept homosexuals, but read your Bible. That's enough of the proof you really need just to say, okay, this man is a false prophet. I'm not going into that. But I just want to thank you again for coming and meeting me again and seeing this video. And I hope you learn from this too. And you have a good evening.